Hey guys, I'm here with Pedro. Pedro, you can introduce yourself and your project.
Hey everyone, my name is Pedro Cruz. I am from Puerto Rico. I am a software engineer, educator, and entrepreneur, and I'm building dreamwalks. It's an application that allows you to chat with statues to learn their stories.
hmm So, where did you get the inspiration for your idea?
Yeah, great question. So, when I was in high school, my history teacher took us to a field trip to Old San Juan. Old San Juan has a lot of history. It's one of the first colonial cities in America. So Puerto Rico was ruled by the Spanish and then by the United States in the late 1800s. So we have a lot of history in Old San Juan. The cobblestones on the streets are intact, and in my history class, our teacher took us there, and we were tasked with looking for places and statues and taking pictures. So I never really liked history, to be really honest. I was a more of a geek, so I was into science, technology, math, but the humanities never really interested me. So, well, that field trip was exciting because we got out of the classroom. But at the same time, we had to, at the end of the of the field trip, write a report on what we saw, and um, that always stuck with me because I feel like many people pass through the same thing. They don't know, they don't really like history. They don't know about the people um, who are most significant in their area. And in my case, in Puerto Rico, I would go up to a statue from Juan Ponce de Leon, and maybe I kind of knew who he was, but I didn't really know his story. And that goes with so many statues around the island. So that's where the initial inspiration came from. I actually started working on this project a few months ago. It's actually probably been years in the making in my head, but I participated in the Solana hackathon and I won an honorable mention. Back then, the application was more focused on street art and augmented reality. And since ChatGPT, it revolutionized everything. It makes me 10x more productive, maybe even 100x more productive. And we have so many good, great AI tools. I thought of the idea of having AI tour guides, because I don't really like to go on tours and have someone, teaching about some place. I think they're great, but for
hmm
me, I prefer maybe like audio tours or
Yeah.
something, on my phone. So I thought of the idea of just, making the statues talk, quite literally. So I took pictures of statues. I started 3D scanning all the murals, all the public artwork in Puerto Rico. And the true mission is to digitize and preserve cultural history.
hmm
Because with statues, with murals, all of that is ephemeral, right? That can be destroyed by a hurricane or vandalized. So during my experience in buildspace, I started prototyping ideas, thinking about how I can create a product, and then all the tools, like everything, came to me at once. Like we have the AI tools, we have the statues that are near where I am, and then I was able to create a pretty decent prototype, and people liked it.
hmm
So that's kind of like the background. The mission really is to make this accessible all around the world.
hmm
Yes, I'm starting in Puerto Rico, but I want this, to for you to take a picture of a statue near you and learn that person's story.
hmm So, do you see yourself like working on this in the coming years and being like expanding to different areas, like teaching other people how to like set up their own like photos and videos of their own?
Yeah, so definitely, I really believe in in the future. Every single student in the world is going to have a personal AI tutor. And this is part of the mission. I feel like this is just the start because everyone learns at a different pace. Like I said, I didn't really like history, but if I had my own AI tutor or I could learn about Albert Einstein and literally talk to him, it
Mm-hmm.
would be incredible. And mix in virtual reality and augmented reality. And I feel like it's going to be something special for students all around the world, for tourists, and anyone who really wants to learn about history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely resonate with that because um, history is a long time to kind of study, and it felt like it was just a class to get through in school. Like, oh yeah, this happened during this year, and for me, it just felt like a lot of memorization. But as I grow older and as history repeats itself in certain ways, um, I'm starting to learn more about how we can learn a lot from history and change our trajectory through time.
Definitely, that's a great point, Kevin. I feel like history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm learning about historical figures from Puerto Rico, former presidents, stuff that I didn't really know. And through like natural language, through a chat interface, I feel it's going to be very accessible to people.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope this application can, like I said, it can help students get excited about history because I know I didn't really like
So why did you pick like presidents to start off?
it. Good question. So I've gotten this question a few times. Um, the main reason is because it was easy. Behind the Capitol building of Puerto Rico, there's a row of presidents,
Mm-hmm.
and the statues, they are just like in a row. So that was one of the first places where I saw. I was like, wow, imagine if they could talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many other statues around. So this weekend, I'm going to add more historical figures,
Mm-hmm.
not just presidents, and even like in Harry Potter where the paintings they talk.
Yeah.
Well, that's also possible too with the application. So my goal really is not to just focus on presidents, to make any historical figure talk.
Mm-hmm.
Even, well, I don't want to get into the ethical things about AI, right? But even people who are still alive today, if they opt in somehow, we could have like personalized AI for those people. So imagine like Elon Musk, he could have his own AI that helps educate people. But I'm more excited about um, people who are not with us. So
Mm-hmm.
Albert Einstein, and scientists that have passed away, but their legacy continues on. So I really would love just to imagine like one day where we'll have virtual reality glasses, goggles, and we can have a class
Mm-hmm.
by Richard Feynman, for example, like a physicist. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's very exciting.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about kind of your process. Do you have like a special camera or equipment that you use to make these kind of things?
Yeah, so I'm using the same technology as Pokemon Go.
Mm-hmm.
The company called Niantic that powers Pokemon Go and other great games, they have a mapping service and also a 3D scanning service.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've been doing is I've been 3D scanning all the different statues, all of the murals. Um, I have a friend called Kenji. Shout out to him. He has been uh, day and night for the past month, in the sun, in the rain, even with a finger that's broken, he's been helping me digitize these statues because there's so much to do. So what I do is I 3D scan them, and then I put them on the map.
Mm-hmm.
For in the case of the presidents, I look for historical videos. So luckily they're all on YouTube, and I basically was able to clone their voice
Mm-hmm.
and then create an animated video in the application.
Yeah. I tried the app today and I noticed that there's statues, but when they talk, uh, they have like white teeth. And that I was
No.
like that's kind of creepy, like kind of disorienting
Yeah.
in a way because I know like the statues aren't actually moving, but like there's just something so unreal about statues having perfect teeth.
Definitely. So here's the thing. I that kind of freaks me out too. It's uncanny, right?
Hmm.
I have a limitation on time and the software I'm using, so I would love to improve this in the future.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is kind of weird to see white teeth on the statues. They're like really perfect. Back then, I mean, George Washington, right? He had like wooden teeth. They say. I don't know if that's a myth, but yes, that's something that I want to improve in the future. Since
Hmm.
where I'm participating in build space, I don't really have enough time to make it perfect. I think that's one of the great things about build space. But
Yeah.
also, there are things that I am embarrassed about. But they say if you your first product, it has to be embarrassing. So in the future, hopefully I can make it a lot more realistic and not weird people out. But definitely,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. I definitely resonate with that. I think if you look back on your version one and you like cringe or are embarrassed by it, that just means that you grew, like you improved to the point where that is no longer your standard. Um, and just to continue with kind of the educational kind of aspect of it, what do you do about certain, I guess, controversies or like historical myths? So, for example, right, one really historical figure is Christopher Columbus, and there's a holiday called Columbus Day. Um, but due to uh, the actually pretty violent and horrifying history, people have been advocating for it to be renamed to Indigenous Peoples Day and to erase the name from history. So what do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Hey, I'm from Puerto Rico, so I know a lot about that.
Yeah.
So even our national anthem, makes memorance to Christopher Columbus, and I'm complete. I think we need to support that change for sure.
Hmm.
So it's a touchy subject, but my opinion is that these are still historical figures. They're still people that we can learn from.
Hmm.
So one of the my plans is really to train the model to be able, and when I say the model, I'm talking about the AI, right? Because we thanks to ChatGPT, we have LLMs, which are large language models,
Hmm.
and we can fine tune and create personas um, through prompt engineering. So my goal is really to make this educational to avoid, these touchy subjects and just focus more on the history component. I feel like it will be a challenge. I see all the chat and the transcripts that
Hmm.
people are asking, for Obama. The most interesting question was, um, tell me a secret that happened in the situation room. And I did not train, the model to specifically talk about that.
Hmm.
But the answer was, I can't talk about that, but I'll tell you another secret about me. And he told, and the AI answered that he's a good basketball player. So the cool thing is that we can train these models so then they can react accordingly to those responses.
Hmm.
So it won't be perfect. I feel like we also need to have an open mind. But yes, I think that historical figures who are controversial, that's going to be one of the most challenging things. And how do we um, present them in a way that's educational and avoids controversy? I still haven't
Hmm.
figured that out completely, but like I said, through fine tuning, we can do that.
Hmm. Yeah, I saw that like snippet of that conversation on Twitter actually. Um, you posted a video about it. I thought initially that it was just open AI, kind of the baseline of like one of the system prompts for the chat is like don't reveal any secrets, right? So I thought that was like the genuine response from the chat GPT or whichever model you're using, to be like I can't tell you any secrets, but I like redirect the topic to a different thing.
Definitely, yeah. Behind the scenes, I'm using multiple technologies. I'm using specifically a platform called InWorld. And InWorld AI, they help create NPCs or non-playable characters
Mm-hmm.
inside of games. So I was able to hack together a really cool interface on the web. And the cool thing about them is that you can train the tone. You can customize if it's the person or the character is angry or if it's funny, all these things
Mm-hmm.
are really cool to be able to customize depending on who we're talking about, right? So for my use case, I want everyone to be a little bit more optimistic. But imagine, in the future, we can have funny characters or characters that are more realistic, that are angry. Maybe former presidents, they were controversial because of the way they treated people. We don't really know, right? Or I don't really know. And I feel like with historians, I would love to meet with historians so then we can really make the personality shine, or make it possible to embed it within the AI models.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wanted to ask as well. Um, Obviously, this all this technology is very new. So where did you get like where did you learn how to do all this stuff? Kind of like, do you have a background in like computer science or stuff like that? So kind of like that.
Yeah, so I started coding when I was 11. My mom, she was creating an e-commerce site for the family business back when eBay didn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
So she gave me my first HTML books, PHP books, and I learned how to code through books essentially. And my first, I think you can still look for it online, but my first website, I think I made in 2004. I was born in Puerto Rico, but for a few years I was in the United States. I've lived in Florida, Texas, Minnesota. And I wanted a way to keep in touch with my friends because I would move every single year to a different place.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having pen pals, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but back then when we didn't have the internet, you would like write letters and have pen pals. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
having a pen pal, I created a blog, and that's how I learned how to code. And then fast forward to when I was 18, I started studying mechanical engineering at Iowa State University.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout those my teenage years, I was really into robotics, so I knew how to code, but I wanted to learn harder stuff. So um, I was 2 years there. I realized I didn't really like computer engineering, sorry, mechanical engineering. So I ended up moving back to Puerto Rico, transferring to another university to study computer engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there, Kevin, I noticed that the curriculum was very outdated. And I was already working as a freelance web developer. I was making websites, applications. And back then, I started a startup. A startup that was focused on virtual reality. So the startup was called Turilo, and it allowed you to visualize real estate properties in VR with the Google Cardboard. The
Mm-hmm.
Oculus wasn't really a big thing and it wasn't accessible. But I dropped out of school to focus on my freelance web development career and also on that startup. So yeah, from there I did consulting, did a few more startups. I ended up at IBM, where actually my mom was very happy when she found out the news because as a dropout
Mm-hmm.
getting to IBM was a huge win for me. So I think today in the programming world and many other fields, what matters is your experience. So at IBM I learned how to work with Watson, with chatbots, and I even learned more complicated things like how to integrate applications into quantum computing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was at IBM for a few years, and I left I think in 2021, and I hopped around a few more startups, but this year I've decided to focus on my own thing. So I currently work at the Puerto Rico Blockchain Trade Association as the Web3 development director, and now I am launching this new startup called DreamWalks, or the company is called Dream Labs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in summary, I learned how to code on my own. Um, I don't really like to stay self-taught anymore. You're always learning from somewhere.
Hmm.
but I graduated from YouTube University essentially, and I learned online through courses.
Yeah.
So I'm always building, always going to hackathons, but my biggest passion is teaching. So
Hmm.
this startup really combines all my passions into one: education, AI, augmented reality. So I'm really excited for to see where this can go.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm actually finishing up a degree in mechanical engineering this year. Um, but I've always been really interested in technology and also like the education because growing up, my parents always taught me to kind of have a very respectful attitude towards teachers because pretty much anyone can be a teacher in your life. It doesn't have to be like academic teachers. They're like mentors, coaches. Um, so I understand like the joy of teaching others something that you once learned from someone else. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
that your journey sounds amazing. Like going
Thank you.
from startups, so you're already really familiar with kind of like the buildspace system. So when did you join buildspace, or how did you hear about it?
Yeah, so I started um, with the tutorials that would they put out for like
Mm-hmm.
Web3, and I really want to participate in the nights and weekends program. So my goal this year was to survive on hackathon prizes. So I have been participating in hackathons each month. There are so many that can't keep up with it. The first hackathon was a Snapchat hackathon, and I got an honorable mention. Then I participated in the Solana hackathon, the Grizzlython, and I got another honorable mention. I'm like, all right, we got to work harder. So I saw Build Space, the prize is amazing, but I saw it as an opportunity to really launch my startup and
Mm-hmm.
make it sustainable. So yeah, I went from taking the tutorials on Build Space to really now participating in nights and weekends, and I can say it has already changed my life in many ways, and especially in my perspective on how to launch, learn quickly from users. And I never really posted a lot on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gotten me out of my comfort zone to share what I'm building, because I have a lot of other things that are cooking up that I'm excited about.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's how I started on Buildspace.
yeah. So season 3 is your first kind of nights and weekends experience.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I participated in season 2 as well. And during season 2, I was trying to code an app, but I'm like terrible at like web dev because I don't have actual like experience with it. And I never had like an actual lesson on it. It's just like YouTube and stuff. Um, so I like didn't really I struggled a lot and I felt like I didn't really accomplish what I wanted to do. Um, so when I came back in season 3, I was like, okay, you know what? Let's not focus on coding. Let's focus on what other people are doing around me and let's try to like connect, um, make lasting relationships, kind of get to know a lot more people that could be like potential mentors, potential lifelong friends, stuff like that. Um,
Amazing. Yeah, I feel
yeah.
like that's what Build Space is about. And I'm really happy to see that you're making content, you're sharing this knowledge.
Hmm.
So yeah, congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Um, are you going to IRL? IRL?
Yes, I'm going to San Francisco.
I'll see you there. Yeah.
Nice.
San Fran. I feel like almost everyone I interviewed is actually going to San Fran. So I'm planning to meet
Yeah,
everyone in person and yeah.
amazing. Looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah. Well, that should be time or that's all the time I booked for you. I'm sure you have a lot of work to do, a lot of things on your mind. So I won't keep you any longer. But it was so
Oh,
great to
no
talk to you.
worries. Yeah, this was really fun. I feel like it's really important for all of us to really to connect together. So thank you so much for chatting with me, Kevin. I
Yeah.
wish you a lot of luck, and I hope that you can really expand your reach and get tons of subscribers, because the content that you're making is going to be very valuable to future build space participants and everyone around the world who wants to launch
Mm-hmm.
um, products. So congrats on that, and I wish you a lot of good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Have a good day. I'll see you later.
See ya.